Anime is weird. Whether you're a new fan or an old fan, you'll have at least seen one piece of media influenced by the magical girl genre. This can be seen as a showing of how much more accepted the anime style has become in the Western audiences over the past couple of years. If anything, you've almost definitely seen the iconic magical girl transformation sequence popularized by Sailor Moon back in the 1990s, which then started to get parodied by so many shows, both in Japan and even here in the West. Did you even notice that My Adventures with Superman had a magical girl transformation parody? I bet you didn't until now. Well, guess what? Men can be powerful and pretty too, even though... Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. Let's just keep going. In the years since the magical girl popularity began to rise, it was no longer just a female-only following. It was starting to connect with male audiences as well. And along with that popularity came the rise in the creation of parody shows. Anime with a story and premise designed to either make fun of already existing tropes or to break down said tropes and redefine the whole medium in its entirety. Parody always seeks to make fun of everything and everyone, as it puts on a story and tells you, no, that's not off limits, this is comedy, we're here for a fun time. The magical girl genre has always been seen as one of the most common tropes to experiment with the idea of parody without over-exhausting its presence. Yes, Isekai, I'm talking about you, get some new material for one. What started with Madoka Magica changing the norms of normal magical girl stories of girls getting powers, wearing frilly dresses, and fighting the forces of evil using the power of friendship. The new story was adding darker themes, hardship, mental health issues, and more. This opened the floodgates as writers began seeing the possibility of creating a story that used the basic formula and different ways certain tropes or themes could be reimagined, with the industry gracing us with a new magical girl anime once every couple seasons or so. And just this year, in our Lord and Savior year of 2024, the newest of those parodies has just graced our viewing experiences, and oh my goodness, what the hell is this? This is Gushing Over Magical Girls, the first anime in a long time to have sparked what most fans would dub as the Degeneracy War. An intense debate spreading the online forums where in one corner people are just not caring and enjoying the series for what it is, then you have the other side protesting with the intent that this series is just a softcore hentai for perverted creeps. And then there's me, trying to hide my bias while I'm watching each side tear each other apart like it's Christmas Day and they're trying to fight over the first present underneath the tree. In all honesty, this was not a series I thought I'd ever make a video on. I first learned about it on Twitter, where I saw, as usual, another hate mob trying to cancel the show just like how they try to cancel anything that shows the slightest bit of bare cleavage, as usual. Fast forward a couple of weeks to where I saw a video by Chibi Reviews talking about the show positively? At first I thought this is going to be just some weird bait series for people with weird fantasies. Having watched Chibi for a while though, I kind of put my expectations on hold, booted up High Dive, and gave it a shot. And, wow. There's a bit of that. Oh. Yeah, there's a lot of questionable stuff, but it was actually funny as well. Alright, I will preface that this is not going to be a series for everyone. This is a parody show. Its intention is to create discourse, challenge what's normal, and if it wants to, it will even try to disturb you. This is not just a parody of magical girl anime, it's a parody of so many things at once that it's insane to think that the author was able to smash these things together as if making the perfect drink without looking at the warning labels first. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about this show is, how on earth did this thing get greenlit? By Kanakawa, and was at the same time allowed to keep little to no censorship? Seriously? How? In this day and age, if any censorship was removed, the show would usually get bombed, it would get cancelled, boom, bada bomb, it was never to be seen again. Like you'd expect it to end up on one of those off-brand sites, like where they keep Redo of Healer or interspecies reviewers. I don't know. It's like we've gone back to the time of the ecchi sketchy era, where the kings and queens of ecchi were at their peak. High School DxD, Panty and Stocking, New Sister Testament. Jeez, that one's a series. If it was a thirst trap on the screen, then everyone knew about it. But this is new. We haven't had something like this in ages. There is a lot on display in this show from the get-go. I meant in terms of writing. Geez, don't jump to conclusions like that. You gotta let me finish. I want to talk about the series from the point of view as a writer, as at the end of the day, there is some really good stuff written here that is overshadowed by its incredibly suggestive and ridiculous premise. I started to notice that there was a lot more to it than just pure fan service the further I got into the series. There were nuances to every single character, everyone has their own unique reasons for the things they do and how they see the world. This isn't just a cast of weirdos fueled by lewd feelings and desire. These are just human beings, trying to make the most of the situation they're in. They know it's not going to be normal and they embrace it. Everyone knows it will be weird and no one raises a finger. But as I got further into the story, something stood out to me. The characters are a parody of just normal people. Alright, let's actually talk about this show now. This is Utena Hiragi, a magical girl superfan. She knows everything about her city's three heroes, Magenta, Azure, and Sulfur. If there's merch of the girls, you can bet your bottom dollar she has spent all of her allowance money just to get her hands on it. Everything about her life is normal. She's just a shy girl who's just enjoying what she likes. That is until one day, she's approached by a weird magical creature that's promising her magical powers? And if you're someone like Utena, there's only one thing that it can mean. She's gonna become a magical girl. And so, Utena jumps immediately at the chance to get her hands on some magical powers. Only to find she's not the hero. She's the villain. And she's the villain to none other than those three girls that she looks up to more than anyone. So you can probably imagine how much panic she's going through. And to add on top of this, that same magical creature that gave her these villainous powers, not only did they record her transformation, they're now threatening to upload it to Twitter. What he learned from the best, Minecraft stands. And I bet you're wondering, what are her powers then? Well, yeah, she's a sadist. Basically, her power is that she can transform any inanimate object into a creature that can fight for her, and it's based on her imagination and her desires. Yeah, that's why it's the way it is. God, how do I explain this without sounding weird? And in the entire fight, Utena is in this position of, I really don't want to do this. Please, someone save me. And she slowly starts to realize she's having fun. She's actually enjoying herself. And so, with Utena's new powers, she tries to find a balance between normal life and her bouts as the evil supervillain, super sadist, Magia Bezer, challenging the magical girls to make them writhe in pain and squeal, all in the hopes of satisfying her desire, of punishing those who defy her. I didn't mean to make that sound like a rap, but that was kind of fire. God, that was cringe. Alright. When I was going over the material, I found that Utena's character is very unique compared to a lot of the other characters, where she is not in a position of where she is a parody of something. She is, in a way, creating the parody for the story, which I found really interesting, to where her powers are what force everyone to change and what just one person alone can cause to just create a ripple effect across so many other characters. It's really interesting, and I think it's done well in this case because it shows how a parody can just create one character that can change everything. Because at the end of the day, Utena, she is just a shy girl who loves the magical girls. She doesn't want to be a villain, but she kind of has to be one. And so over the story, she's just trying to figure out a way where she can enjoy herself while giving into what she really wants, while at the same time fulfilling both her desire to have her way with the girls and actually cheer for them, which is so incredibly genius, and how it just can affect not only herself, but her friends and her enemies. Alright, so now that you understand the premise of how the series portrays itself, why is it funny? What's so good about a parody like this that can keep its audience engaged and intrigued? And before you say anything, no, it's not for the fan service. Okay, maybe the premise really is the fan service, but I digress. I think that what helps keeps people's attention is that any situation can both be taken seriously 1 second, but completely changed just by the simplest thing going wrong, whether that be for Utena and her villain comrades, or the magical girls. Each scenario feels different from one another, and the jokes don't feel overused or awkwardly included. Here's one of my favorite examples that I like to show people. There is a recurring joke between the character Kiwi, who's constantly suggesting that she and Utena pop off to go to a hotel. If you haven't guessed, yes, she's referring to a love hotel. And every time she brings it up, someone just gets a bit annoyed by it. Like, it's that one person who's constantly asking for the same thing over and over and over again. To the point where it's really annoying. Not only for the audience, but the characters as well. To the point where Kiwi asks another villain to create a hotel just for her and Utena, only for said person to create a jail cell to put Kiwi inside of. And thus, the first ever existence of horny jail in anime has been achieved. Just with something so simple like that, we are able to find it funny because not only is it playing into already existing tropes and themes that exist in the modern day, and that it's not only the audience that just gets annoyed by things that are happening, it can apply to the characters as well. Sure, there are suggestive themes and contexts, but for the most part, it's just really funny. It's not only the villains that have to deal with this stuff as well. The magical girls have their fair share of problems and gags as well. My favorite by far being the three of them just sitting in a diner discussing how Utena's appearance has just thrown all of them out of the loop, and they're just trying to think of ways of how do we find them next, how do we defeat them, and in that same moment, one of the girls is getting flustered to think about what Magica Bay is going to do next to them. That's right, one of them might be turning into a masochist. And you think that this joke is just a one-off time? No. This affects the entire show, to the point where this magical girl keeps getting trapped in every episode intentionally just to feel this newfound pleasure that is unbecoming of a hero. If you think it couldn't get any crazier for the characters, both the magical girls and the villains all interact with each other in real life as somewhat friends, without even realizing each other's identities. Because coincidentally, a lot of them attend the same high school together. And since none of the others recognize each other, because the author just chalks it up to the magical transformation devices having this weird magic that protects their identity. Yeah, look, it's just some BS to say, hey, look, it makes it better if they can't recognize each other, and it would make for better storytelling and weird interactions like this. Because during the moments when they're not fighting each other, both sides have one-off moments where they're just enjoying themselves and each other's company, whether that be within the classroom or at the beach. My absolute favorite part of these scenes is when Kiwi and Karuko, Magia Sulfur, become the two characters who are so similar that whenever they meet, they are either cussing each other to no end or fighting to see who's better at what. Every time it happens, I'm dying of laughter. And when they start arguing, batten down the hatches because it is a wild ride. Sure, you can blame my Australian bias for finding comedy in swear words. I won't deny that there is a bit of that here, but it goes to show how a situation alone can establish comedy when necessary. As you can see, there are so many different characters that can capture your attention, but I think by far the greatest inclusion is probably the one you would not expect. Who am I talking about exactly? I'm talking about this little girl here, Kurisu, or as she's known by her alter ego, Nero Alice. This character here is by far one of the most interesting of all of the villain characters. Her magic power alone has the ability to manipulate whatever enters her toy box and play with it to her own imagination. She can rewrite your memory, she can rewrite you to become a child, she can rewrite anything. She can rewrite the toys to come to life and attack you. She can remove all the doors and force you to be stuck in this box like you're in an insane asylum. It's really cool. But at the same time, it's really exploitative because once she's out of magical power, she falls asleep and will probably not wake up for the rest of the day. So you gotta be careful about that. But if we were to put it in terms of Nux logic, it's overpowered, done right, to an extent. Kurisu is by far probably the most unique case of all the characters in the show. It isn't that she's parodying any particular kind of character you would see in a normal magical girl series. It's that she's just a kid. She's only around 9 to 10 years old. Stop jumping the gun for a second, let me finish. I cannot tell you how many faces I've taken a photo of Kurisu whenever she's on screen because she is by far the most expressive character out of everyone in the show. Just look at some of these that I've taken and tell me they're not funny. Everything she does is reflected on that premise, that she is so much younger than everyone else. The way she interacts with her friends and enemies, there are some scenes that make you go, what the actual hell is going on? But after watching it a second time, you begin to realize that's normal. By far the best example of this is in episode 6, where Utena catches a cold while playing with Kurisu, and she's trying to be with her even though she's feeling really sick, which is a really nice thing to do. But it gets to the point where Utena is struggling to actually move around and stay awake, And in response to this, Kurisu transforms into Neperrati and takes Utena into her playbox. And inside her playbox, Kurisu transforms into a nurse and tries her best to take care of her. It gets to the point where she asks Utena to take off her bra so she can examine her. And I can already hear you going, whoa, 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 she's a child, why is she doing this? To her, it's just that she's playing pretend. She's pretending to be a doctor, because that's what kids do. They pretend that they're adults. What kid doesn't? While the show is mainly focused around fan service and all of that jazz, I think it's a good thing that a character like Neperrati exists, because at the end of the day, you might remember this as something that's almost hentai, but you can also remember that there are characters like this who don't need to rely on fan service in order to be funny. Let me be clear. I wasn't expecting a story when I was going into this series, but I was thoroughly surprised with what I was seeing in front of me. Just from the development of Utena as a character and how she's becoming more and more accepting of being a villain, she finds a way to allow everyone around her to grow as well. Not only for the villains, but also for the magical girls in a really weird but clever way. And I think to show this example is to talk about one of the said magical girls. Out of all the characters in the show, Magia Azure has definitely had the most character development out of everyone. Azure at the beginning is portrayed as the most calm and collected of the three girls. In her normal life, Sayo, her actual name, is seen as a kind and helpful person within her community who lives at the local shrine and helps with its maintenance. You remember that scene I mentioned a while ago about the three girls sitting in a restaurant? Yeah, the girl who was flustered was Azure. It's gotten to this point where she's now intentionally getting trapped by Baze's magic just to get tormented. She knows it's wrong and is embarrassed to tell anyone because it's pretty unbecoming for a hero of the city to admit that they like getting this treatment from a supervillain. And it's all building up to the most prominent act of the 13 episodes that this series has. Before we continue, I do want to warn everyone that the following section will contain an important moment for episode 7. So if you want to watch this show for yourself and not go in with spoilers, I highly suggest that you click off the video or skip to the timestamp that will appear on screen right now. Alright, if you're still here, let's continue. As I mentioned, this scene takes place in episode 7 of the series. It made me realize this story was not... It was trying to commit to something different. The show no longer wanted to play the parody card. It wanted to show that it could break free of the idea of being a parody and stand on its own 2 feet as being its own unique show. It is the final act of the episode. Magia Azure challenges Magia Bezier alone in the dead of night. Azure states that she will not let Magia Bezier run free any longer. Bezier accepts her request. The two fight with everything they have, and it has all come down to this moment. Bezier's defense is just too strong, and Azure is trying to find a way to break it, but she falls into another one of Bezier's traps. And another, and another, and another. The gap in strength becomes obvious. Magia Bezier is just too strong for Azure, and Azure just succumbs to the torment that she is experiencing. Azure keeps taking each beating over and over again, until she lays at the ground of Magia Bezier's feet. Her magical transformation gem cracks. Both know who the winner was. Azure lost. How could she go back to her comrades like this? She was not only defeated, she was broken. At this point, all she could probably think was, this is what I am now. I'm not fit to be a hero. And with all of those thoughts in her brain, she gives in. She gets on all fours and grovels in front of Magia Bezier, licking her feet in hopes of appeasing to her new master. All that is left is the shell of a hero who once fought for justice, but now stood in front of her nemesis as a masochistic, broken pet, waiting for whatever orders her new master will give to her. This is the first time that Utena has actually won as a villain. Does she revel? Does she just start cackling into the air as if she's like about to give an evil monologue? The piercing smile that Utena is known for slowly disappears and is replaced by a sharp stare of disgust. Her eyes filled with rage as she looked at the disgusting mess that was once her idol. She grabs her dress and drags her eyes to meet hers and says, this exact moment, these 5 minutes of an episode, set the tone of what the story is about and what it aims to achieve. This is where it establishes that it is not your normal parody of the classic magical girl genre. It chooses to strike a balance that can make the story intriguing, give the actions weight. Nothing is played for gags. I bet most of you expected the story to show its true colors right then and there, that Utena's goal would be to have all the magical girls under her thumb. It's nothing close to that. She's a fan. She wants to cheer them on. They are her entire world. There would be nothing left for Utena if they were gone. She wouldn't need to be Magia Beza. So what does she have to do? She needs to make them stronger. It's in this moment where Utena realizes that if she wants the magical girls to be stronger, she needs to make them stronger herself by pushing them to their limits. Utena will take it upon herself to ensure that they are the strongest heroes the city could ever want. Heroes that could defend anything and anyone. If she needs to play the villain, she will. But she's going to do it her way. It's moments like these which tells the viewers that whatever happens going forward, it's on its own merit. It doesn't need to fall back on already existing tropes in order to succeed. And I love that. Gushing over magical girls is not going to be for everyone. It's got a unique sense of humor. If you don't like crass or sex jokes, this is not the show for you. It's an experience. When I started the series, I didn't think in the back of my mind, yeah, this is a perfect topic for my first YouTube video, but at the same time, I felt as though there was enough content that warranted a discussion amongst the community. Is it perfect? No. Is it crazy? Absolutely. Will it likely paint me as some weirdo? Maybe. But that's the entire point about making content like this. It's about taking risks. And I'm choosing to take one by making this video for you guys. Just like Utena, trying to find a new way to be herself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, you already know what the other channels tell you to do. Leave a like, leave a comment. It lets me know that you enjoyed the video and want to see more stuff like this. And if you want, please feel free to share this with your fellow friends and weebs too. It would mean a lot to me. And I just want to say I am sorry to my parents who are going to look at this the moment they catch wind that I've made this. I am so sorry you had to listen to me talk about this. I promise this is not something normal, and it will definitely be a hopefully one-time thing. Unless it pays good money, then I will hopefully talk about it more than once. Plus, if you're interested, I do stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at night over on my Twitch, SamStormerVT. And don't you worry, there will be more videos coming from this channel soon in the future. Hopefully one about a cream puff loving gym bro. How does that sound? But for now, I think my next topic's going to be on... Oh shit, it's almost midnight. Anyways, I'll leave it up to you to figure that one out. I'm Sam Stormer. Thank you for your time, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.